Hey everyone, so we did it again. Bombed some supposed chemical weapons manufacturing facilities in Syria. I say supposed because the day after we bombed them, there was supposed to be an investigation into those facilities to actually try and get some evidence on whether chemical weapons were being manufactured there or not. I guess they can sift through the debris now, which actually has occurred, which would not have been possible if chemical agents were lingering about in the air or in the rubble. A bit suspect to me, to say the least. It is also strange too, as I've mentioned in other videos, the US strikes Syria right after Syria declares themselves close to victory. We did this back in 2017 with the Shayrat missile strike on Syria's airbase. I think I'm pronouncing that right, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, Assad says they're closing in on victory, then all of a sudden Assad supposedly uses chemical weapons out of nowhere, and the US uses that as provocation to drop bombs on Syria. Then fast forward a year, Assad controls major strategic parts of Syria, victory is in their sights, and then out of nowhere, they strangely use chemical weapons again on civilians, which then prompts the US to drop bombs on them yet again. If you are not suspicious of this, I have to accuse you of at least not being inquisitive enough. And furthermore, let's put this into perspective a little bit. The chemical attacks in Syria in 2017 killed 86 people. So what was the US doing at roughly the same exact time? Well, we were bombing Mosul in Iraq, in which we were responsible for the deaths of almost 200 civilians. So instead of poisoning people, we just tore them to shreds. I guess that is a more acceptable way to kill innocent people. So this air of superiority is a sickening display of a deadly double standard on the part of the United States. All of this insanity on our part does not lead to greater stability in the Middle East. All it does is destroy the lives of innocent people and helps generate more and more hatred for the United States. And let's think about this logically. The Free Syrian Army, the FSA, is backed by the US. The FSA desperately needs the help of the US. So anytime there is an inkling that the US might be pulling out of Syria, these are the times when Assad strangely decides to use these chemical weapons. The timing is extremely suspect. We know that the FSA has used chemical weapons before, so we know that they have them. So could it be possible that the FSA knows if it uses chemical weapons, the blame will most likely be put on Assad's regime, and that will cause the US to stay in Syria? I think that is a very, very real possibility. Anyway, what is more likely the real reason that the US maintains its position in Syria? Is it because we don't like Assad? Perhaps. Is it because we think the FSA will be a fantastic improvement over Assad? I highly doubt it. It seems to me that this is all about Russia. Russia backs Assad, and we don't want to see Russia's influence extending any further than it already does. Maybe the world would be a better place without Russian influence, but this is not reason enough to be setting up military bases all over the world and bombing countries that your average US citizen knows nothing about. What we should be doing is bringing all of our troops home, close down the 800 military bases we have in 70 countries around the world, and beef up our actual defense. It would not cost even a fraction of the money that it takes for us to sustain our empire, and we would actually be safer. We wouldn't be stirring up unrest around the world. We wouldn't be trying and failing at nation building that just ends up creating a power vacuum that's invariably filled by a new psychotic group of guerrilla fighters. We would not be causing instability in so many countries. Instead of trading blows with other countries, we should be trading goods and services with any country that will engage us on that level. There is that old saying from Frederick Bastiat that if goods don't cross borders, soldiers soon will. So let's open up trade to the best of our ability with as many countries as we possibly can. And at the same time, as I've said, focus on defense. If you recall, the Department of Defense has the word defense in its title. We often forget that because it really isn't a Department of Defense, it's the Department of Offense. So even as a libertarian, it wouldn't bother me that much if we vastly decrease the spending we have on our empire and instead focus on defense systems and defense protocols. It's not a terrible thing for other countries to know that we are next to impenetrable. If any other country tries to attack us from the air or by sea, they won't get within 100 miles from our coast before they're met by some gnarly defense. But if they have a boat full of goods and money and they want to do business, well, right this way, let's trade. That, by the way, is good foreign policy. Foreign policy does not just refer to where our jets fly and where our tanks go to and fro. It could potentially refer to the friendly disposition we take with other countries of this world. It could mean that if we would wise up a bit. Thanks, and that's all.